part of that video on an OC Transpo bus early one morning. I believe it was early Friday morning, in fact. CBC has not spoken to the person who actually took it, but this man did put it online describing what he saw. He gave a snapshot of what the young man had been blurting out, some weird lines, and then what he describes as verbal abuse by the driver. The union is saying still it isn't sure yet if it can make out if it's the driver speaking. The mayor of Ottawa also weighing in, saying it made him angry when he heard the language. They are trying to change the culture at OC Transpo. We're asking you not to take sides on this one because there are pieces missing, and perhaps this is at the heart of some of the conversation that images are taken sometimes. They're just excerpts of reality. And we're asking you to kind of talk about whether this is a good chance, at least, to reflect on the new place we're in as a society, whether good or bad, strangers or friends. Many of us can take video postcards in public and private places. And we're asking you, if you have hit record, maybe you found yourself in a position like that fellow on the bus. Obviously, something motivated him to use his cell phone when things started to get kind of loud. If you have hit record, if you found yourself starring on YouTube, give us your perspective. Are we better or worse off? This is the number 1-888-817-8995. We're going to speak first with Brian Beamish. He's at the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario. He is the Assistant Commissioner of Access. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rita.
Just your own reaction to some of the facts that we've laid out on this case?
Well, let me start by saying I think you've quite rightfully pointed out that all the facts aren't in. I think the question for us at the Information and Privacy Commission is whether this incident would reflect a privacy breach or a privacy incident involving the driver. And I think our response to that is a pretty emphatic no. That someone like an individual who works for a transit system is a public servant performing a very public function and has therefore also responsibilities for the safety of the public and customer relations. That is a professional act they're taking. They're acting in a professional role as compared to a personal role, and therefore they shouldn't expect that they have any particular privacy protections around that.
Okay, so that's an interesting way to break it down. So let's say it's at a passport office or a restaurant even? Like, so let's say it's a waiter or a waitress being filmed?
Well, I think there are a couple of issues here. One is just simply filming somebody for the sake of filming someone. We all might recognize that there's a certain lack of common courtesy involved in that. In this case, though, allegedly there was an incident involving that public servant and how they were performing their function. And I think that then becomes a different matter. Yeah,
would you have concerns if they were just random people being filmed in a bus or in a park and posted on YouTube?
Well, again, as I say, I think there are some general expectations in terms of courteousness and how we conduct ourselves. Simply going up to somebody who's in public and filming them, I think would, for most people, that would be a violation of their expectation of privacy and wouldn't be viewed as a good thing. I mean, I think we need to contrast that from a situation, for example, in the change room of a gym. And I think we all there would say there should be a definite public expectation that's not a public space or not a space where someone should be pulling out a camera or a cell phone and filming.
Although I'm curious to hear from our listeners, because what if it's a coach, right, or a parent who's doing something in there, and it would the good outweigh the bad? I guess if you captured something that really meant that someone had to be accountable for their actions.
Right. I think you raise a good point. There is a difference between simply pulling out a camera and randomly filming as compared to a situation where there might be some wrongdoing going on and someone then decides to record that.
Can I just get your reflection? Because again, these are all about lines and boundaries, and of course in your office you'd be assessing things on also somewhat of a case-by-case basis, but it did get me thinking too about a recent situation involving Rob Ford in Toronto. Someone alleging that they'd seen him use a cell phone and I think even giving the finger. There's no actual videotape of it, but they went online and posted that that's what they saw, and of course it generated a lot of conversation, in the media and newspapers. What do you think of that? Is that crossing a line?
Well,
there's no evidence other than what he says, she says in the end.
I think we all have our views on that and whether it's a good or a bad thing. I think it does raise the interesting point that we do live in a world of new realities in terms of people's access to cameras and to cell phones and all the rest, and that we need to be aware of that as we go through our daily activities.
That there's a new level of scrutiny for everyone.
No question, and that may be even more applicable to people who are in the public.
Well, listen, we appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
That's Brian Beamish, the Assistant Commissioner of Access. He works at the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario. We are asking you if you think we're better off, better or worse off, now that we can hit record in many public and private spaces. Brian Beamish gave us a perspective saying that in this case, no matter what had preceded the outburst, that this individual, if in fact it is a bus driver, will be fairly assessed in the dignity of his job and assessed as a professional, not just some guy. But we're asking you to take it somewhere where you want. I mean, maybe you've been in a position where you've recorded something, or you've borne witness, or you found yourself starring. 1-888-817-8995. Keenan, you're in Ottawa. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mr. Beamish, and I guess the other point is someone could have recorded a bus driver doing a wonderful thing, and that's also happened before and gone public, and no one said that was an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, no, that's true. So tell me why you care about this story.
I'm in my work, and as a volunteer, I support people with intellectual disabilities, including people with autism, which apparently this individual self-identified, the passenger. And we've had many instances of people not receiving good customer service because there hasn't been training, or the person just doesn't know how to handle themselves well around someone who communicates a bit differently. And this type of thing has happened before, but not captured on video, and we haven't been able to get a response to it. So I'm grateful that there's a video, and we can at least perhaps start having a dialogue about when people are working in customer service. That includes people with disabilities, and the staff need to be able to manage that appropriately and not threaten to punch them in the face.
Yeah, I wonder, do you wish that you'd had the recording of what was going on before, too, so that you could help? Like, it's hard to know at 2 o'clock what that driver was thinking, if, there was foul language and stuff that had already been floating around the bus, right? Do you wish you could see a little bit so that you could dissect it and, I don't know, teach people how to maybe interpret what they're hearing on their buses or in their restaurant?
Sure. There's context. The more you have, it's always better. But I think we can already, if what we're seeing is in fact what took place, and that was a driver, there's countless other ways to handle it, and that's never going to be deemed the right way to handle it. And from what I can discern, there was a short interview with the passenger, and he pretty much sounds like not a very unusual case of, a person with autism who's having a bit of a monologue with themselves about a topic that's interesting to them, and it's extremely common, and it's never a call for violent behavior.
Okay, Keenan, thanks for calling in.